I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, POD, Smoking Guns Podcast, hanging out with you on this Monday afternoon, the Monday after Easter, which is rightly a holiday for some people. I got to tell you, I am worn out and tired, but I've done next to nothing today. I've watched some Gunslinger football. I watched the game over again, but I didn't do anything else. If you didn't know, if you never thought about it, let me tell you, the Monday after Easter should be a holiday for anybody that works in the church, because it has been a busy week leading up to this Monday, and I am so thankful for this Monday above all other Mondays. Welcome to the Smoking Guns Podcast. I'm Philip Higginbotham. I am one of your hosts. I'm joined as always by Leo Yamas.
What's up, Smoking Guns Posse?
And I better unmute her microphone so I can also introduce you to R.C. Woods.
Hello, beautiful people.
We are a podcast that deals with the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League. We cover everything to do with the Gunslingers as they continue through their second season in the IFL, fifth season overall, and we've been there since the very beginning.
Yes, we have.
All the way back to the roots in the barn and all of the things. We've been there for all of it. And we still cover them. No, it's great. We've had a great time. We love covering the Gunslingers. But every once in a while, we don't have the greatest time ever because we have to deal with one of those things that's an inevitability in sports. And that is a loss.
Disappointment.
What's that?
I said disappointment.
Yeah, absolutely. Gunslingers went out to Tulsa on Saturday night and ended up dropping the game 45-31 over Tulsa. We're going to talk a lot about that game, but just general impressions at the top. Real quickly, Leo, what did you think? Like, what's one sentence or what is your general impressions of that particular game?
Undisciplined, lots of penalties.
Fair enough.
And not matching intensity.
Fair enough.
Those were the two biggest takeaways. Well, three. There was one. When it ain't working, it ain't working.
Right. We will talk more about all of those things because I know you have opinions on all those things. We've been talking all day long, and I know you will be talking to. So you're still drinking out of the Batman mug.
Still doing it.
Very good. Very good. RC, what were your impressions of the game or the experience? I know you were out at the watch party on Saturday. What were your impressions of the weekend in Gunslinger football?
Well, the watch party was great. It was small crowd, but it was Easter weekend, so that's understandable. However, the people that were there, we were fired up. So I was excited about that. Now, when I say we lost, we also looked lost. Like they weren't on the same page. It was like we were just watching them play. I mean, they were watching the other players play, but not interactive, if that makes sense. They looked lost.
They were turning to watch the game while they were on the field. That sounds suspiciously like something we're going to hear from someone else in a little while. Well, Leo. I broke up the season today into phases of the season. We just finished the first phase at 1 and 3. That's not great.
No.
We are moving into the second phase of the season, and later I'm going to tell you how I think it is the most important phase of the entire season.
We're all nodding our heads. See that?
I think the next part of this season is going to make or break this season for the Gunslingers.
Critical.
And if that's the case, something's got to change. We've got to make some sort of changes, which feels weird because we've been doing nothing but changing all season. We have not been the same team.
That's it, though.
That's part of the problem.
Maybe, but I still don't think we have the right pieces in the right places. And so we're going to talk more about that. But before we do any of that, before we get into the game or what went wrong or what went right, we have been lax on reaching out to somebody that is an amazing person in the Gunslinger organization. And we finally connected with her. RC, you connected with her on Saturday night of the watch party, and you said, we have to bring this person on. And I tend to agree. You see her name anywhere and everywhere that you look at Gunslinger stuff. We're going to bring her on and talk with Jen. Jen, I've already forgotten how to pronounce the last name. It's
just Jen.
Jen.
Just Jen. We're good with that.
Jen, I know I asked you this just before we started the show, but I loved your answer so much. I want everybody to understand. So what do you do for the organization?
So I have the fun job. I handle sponsorships, dabble in the marketing. I get the best of both worlds because I get to see the administrative side and the operations, but then I also get to mix and mingle with the team and then deal with all the sponsors and all the fun.
Very cool. And you get to catch a lot of different stuff. You even said that you've had to take some players to the hospital from time to time. You've gotten to drive them.
We're not going to talk about that. That's not part of the conversation. No.
We don't ever want to have to take players to the hospital anyway. So.
Exactly. We don't. And unfortunately, we saw it on TV. Sometimes things happen, but we've got great players and great spirits, and they were out there supporting at the watch party. RC got to visit with some of them, and it is what it is, but it's good. We love it.
Excellent.
And Philip, one part that you missed, which is understandable, is that Jen is a key instrument when we do the judging for the 6-shooters. And so she was on the panel, and she asked, we have the opportunity to ask the cheerleaders some questions, and she was spot on with every question, asking, how would you represent our sponsors? And that goes back to her role as sponsorship and marketing. And I wouldn't have thought that. I was questioned like, what's your favorite football player or whatever, But her point and her questions were really spot on. And so I know you may not have known that, but she was part of the judging team for our 6-shooter. So great job there, Jen.
I thought you were the only one that did the judging, RC. I thought they just kind of bowed to
I feel like I am, but I'm not. It's a team. It's a panel. It's judges. It's, amazing ladies there looking at all different. That's the key thing. We all have different things that we look at. Sure. And that's, I think, very important. That's how I think we pick the best 6-shooters because we're all coming at different angles, and we really do get the best candidates, the best cheerleaders.
And our 6-shooters, I am intrigued every time I see them. April runs that whole department. Cassie is just an amazing coach. Mm-hmm. The girls, they really put their heart and soul into that whole organization. They're the best of the best. I challenge anyone to take them on. They are just amazing with what they do, the support they give the team, the love that they show, the heart in, everything that they do. It's just such a good group of girls. We're just so lucky to have them.
Jen, I imagine that for some of the folks we've talked to in the Gunslingers organization, they have really busy seasons and times of year. So April and Jordan are about to head into a time where they have multiple, nearly back-to-back. In fact, at one point, I think they do have back-to-back home games. They're going to be really busy over the next month or so. And then there are other times, like the last month they've had, where it's not as busy. They still have things that need to get done and taken care of, but they're not as busy. I got to imagine when you're dealing with sponsorship and marketing and all of those things that you're doing, that doesn't exist for you, because those are things that happen. No matter what the calendar says, there is work to be done when it comes to lining up sponsors, talking with sponsors, dealing with getting the Gunslingers out as much as you can into the community and making inroads in our community. I bet you don't have a downtime, so to speak, do you?
You know, you're right. I mean, sponsorships go everywhere. My biggest crucial time, believe it or not, is Q4 because we want to get into everybody's budget for the next season, for the next year. And our season is such a different dynamic than most. You know, so you really have to have those conversations so that some of those funds are allocated for whatever the goal is. But sponsors, unfortunately, I'm the worst because the most creative people are the ones that hate the admin part of it and the paperwork aspect.
Sure.
And, you know, that's no fun. We want to be out and about and talking to people and creating the ideas. But then when it comes to the execution, you talk about April and Jordan and really the whole team. There's Crystal and Cisco and, you know, Cinco and, you know, everybody, Cisco, Cinco. But all of them are certain part of what the sponsorship is because it's fun to sell it, but then we've got to go behind the scenes and execute. Whether that be a video, is it going on the Jumbotron? Is it something that, you know, we're reading in the live feeds? Is it the coaches show? Is it at the practice field? Is it at the regular field? Is it going to be on a t-shirt? Is it part of the giveaways? You know, and, you know, there's some of the cool things. I know some of you got to see a little bit. We have footballs and signatures, but we've even got special game balls for some of our sponsored nights this year. So, you know, it just, I would love to say that it stops at me, but it doesn't. The team, like you said, we're nonstop year round, either creating the ideas or executing the ideas. And if it wasn't for the team that we have behind the scenes, it wouldn't get done. So again, grateful for all of the team, especially look at our program. I mean, Crystal behind the scenes that you don't get to see very often is already, you know, hitting deadlines and getting that ready to go to print. So it's pretty intense, but it's fun. You know, it's fun creating those opportunities for our fans, for our players, for our staff, for you guys. So it's a good time for sure.
I gotta feel like that there are businesses or sponsorship folks around San Antonio, and they might happen across this show at some point because this thing will live in eternity, sort of. And if they look at it and they go, I would love to be a part of that, I just don't see how it fits into my bottom line and my budget or how it works for me. I get the sense, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys are almost offering a fully customizable sort of, we'll find a way to make this make sense for you inside your budget. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, marketing and advertising and sponsorships are not cookie cutter. And if you see them in a cookie cutter capacity, then, you know, what's good for a restaurant may not be what's good for an auto dealership or an insurance company because everybody's needs are different, whether it be getting in front of them and letting an attendee sample, or is it just putting your name out there so you stay top of mind? Or is it, you know, I'm just a heck of a fan when it comes to football and I just want to have my name attached to it. So, you know, we really try to sit down and navigate what's important to that sponsor and then create the package around their need and ours, you know, so sometimes what they think should work may not and vice versa. So we always talk through the reasoning and the whys because that's why it becomes a marketing campaign as well. It's not just the fact you're sponsoring a team. What can we do to put that business out there in the forefront to get the business that they're looking for too? So yeah, you're right. That's why we're creative, right?
Hey, you bring up an interesting situation. I know you've dealt with it before. You don't have to use any names because they're probably still sponsors. But how many times have you had somebody come to you and go, this is what I want. I want my name on the Jumbotron, my company on the Jumbotron at the beginning of every quarter. And you go, that just doesn't make sense because by the time they leave, they're never going to remember that. Things have happened since then. That is not the best bang for your buck, but they are insistent that that's what I want to see. How do you coach somebody like, because there's some coaching involved of that's not what you want. And let me tell you why that's not what you want. How do you deal with that?
You know, we just do. But, you know, we have those conversations, right? You know, first of all, I always ask why.
Right.
Why do you want that? What, you know, so you can kind of get in their head and see what they're thinking. because sometimes it's not what they're thinking at the end of the conversation. It's a whole different thought process. But again, it's like I tell people, you don't buy your favorite radio station or your favorite TV station or what you watch. You buy what your audience wants. And sometimes we have to get out of our own head sometimes, because just because we love a certain type of genre, or we love a certain type of TV show, or whatever the case scenario is, or a football team for that matter, it may not be the best fit. So again, then we kind of alter it to see really what the goal is. And then, here's the other part of it. If you've got the budget and you want to spend that kind of money, we'll put you at the first of every quarter. But I'm also going to tack on 100 different things that I know is going to be a better fit as well.
Sure.
So,
and if not, then we keep going. So it's just, I will say we really haven't had too much of that. Thank God. Because we really have people that truly want to bond with the organization, or truly have a passion for the sport, or truly just want to get their business out there. And so we've been really lucky to be able to have those conversations on what makes the most sense. And then what can we do to make your business stand out compared to all the others? And that's why you see like Complete Care, RC got a goodie bag from them. They have an endorser, and one of the players, promotes their organization, and they give away a goodie bag because they can't give away anything else. They're medical, right? So their goal is to be branded so that you can see their name out there. So when you do need them, you'll call them. So, but then we've got a Matanga's pizza that we just want to eat the pizza. Let's be honest, right? So their needs are a tad bit more different, and we just do what we need to do to execute that, for the best turnout for them.
So Jen, how did you get involved with the Gunslingers? What was that first step?
I, believe it or not, I was with one of the sponsors. I work with other projects. So I actually went to one of their meetings with the Gunslingers from the beginning, and it just evolved from there. And yes, they are a sponsor, and yes, I still work with them. And now I'm blessed to work with the Gunslingers too. So it was a win-win all the way around.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jen, having spent a little bit of time around you and talk to you, I have a sense of what this team means to you. It's probably a lot different than what you thought coming on board when you first came on board. I'm sure it's evolved over that, what this team means to you and what it ought to mean to the city of San Antonio. I'm sure that's something that you communicate to prospective sponsors and just to prospective fans and people what exactly what do you say, or what would you say to that? What does this team mean to you and to the city of San Antonio, or what should it mean to the city of San Antonio?
We get that question a lot. So to me, it's an amazing group of folks, from the head of the team down to the bottom of the barrel of staff, for lack of better words. But what it does is each one of these players has a story, and getting to know those stories are huge, whatever it looks like. They're coming out of one school and wanting to try to make it, whether it be they've already done it and they just love the sport and the passion for the sport and want to continue playing it. The family values that the owners put into place makes a huge difference, because now it's not just about a team in San Antonio, it's about your family in San Antonio. And then, like you said, we are hometown. We are our community, where a lot of the other teams are not. And our teams are very, our players and our staff and our owners are very about giving back, about giving to the community. How do we make this affordable? How do we make it fun? How do we get the folks out there to just enjoy it? Because once you go to a game, you're hooked. I mean, I was hooked. Y'all are sponsors are hooked.
I mean,
people who attend.
I can take it or leave it. Whatever. Whatever.
But that's the joy of it. Some people, they like the one-on-one. Some people just like the passion of football. or like the entertainment factor. I'll tell you, every sponsor that comes and sits in the suite, they are waiting for somebody to dive over the wall. That
Mhm.
they're just, ready to go with that part of it. They just think that's the coolest thing since sliced bread. And then what do? I catch them in a suite the next time, or I catch them in a seat later on because they come back in some capacity. So, to really speak on that, it's just watching somebody's dreams come true, whatever that dream may be. And then also, like you said, we've had some players that have had, some injury, and then watching that passion about them coming back.
Mhm.
And you can't beat that. So you just want to help, and you want to get them there, and you want to grow the business, and you want to see the seats full, and you want to see the smiles on their faces, because when you see that, we've done our job. The fun,
Exactly.
the excitement, the joy that we see, whether it be the watch party, whether it be our events, whether it be, the pregame, the game itself, or watching that kid catch that one football and take it home proudly. We get to see the stuff on TikTok because people are excited about it, whatever that looks like. So, that's where the passion comes in from all of us. I think every staff member out there. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you've talked about as an employer, as somebody who works for the Gunslingers or works with the Gunslingers. Let's talk about a fan, because you can't be around this team and not get involved in the on the field part of all of this. What are your thoughts on the first 4 games of the season? We now have an idea of what the season may look like. Where do you feel like we are? I know your heart breaks when we lose a game, just like any of us do, but just overall, what do you think as a fan of the team?
Coming from a family of sports, my dad was a coach, and just watching all that, I probably take it a little bit calmer than most, just because we all know everything can change on a whim, right?
Absolutely.
And we've had some changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're 3 games in now, 4 games in.
4.
Four.
Yeah.
4.
And see, I don't even count some of them. But we're 4 games in, and we've got how many more to go? So
Right.
let this be our learning curve, and let us come out strong on the 26th and show what we've got, right? So I know they're practicing. I see their passion on the field. I see them at practice. The team is ready. And I think it's just a matter of them, like everybody else, when you haven't played with somebody for a long time, it's getting that group together and getting your click. And I think, we're there, and we're going to show that. So everyone needs to come to the Fiesta game to see it, right?
Now, what did your dad coach?
My dad was one of those. He coached anything but soccer. I don't know why that wasn't his sport, which is really funny since we lived in Germany. It was a military. I had a military family, and we lived in Germany for 4 years, and maybe that's what, was the downfall for him. I don't know, but he coached anything but. So I played baseball and t-ball and powder puff football and basketball, and he coached everything, but soccer was not one of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I was fortunate to go to the watch party, and I won a goodie bag. And this is one of the medals that I was in the goodie bag. Can you talk a little bit about this and the sponsorship there?
So Complete Care is one of our sponsors. They are a freestanding ER. And actually, it's kind of funny. The representative, Lori, she's probably listening, knowing her, because
She is. No, she's on.
Yes, she's very passionate herself about this. But she came to one game and sat in the suite with me, and the next thing you know, she became the biggest fan ever. Her family comes, her friends come, she brings the docs with her. I mean, she's that person that we're talking about. She came to one and has been hooked. You'll see her in her jerseys. She supports the trainers. She supports the staff, the players, you name it. She is there with Band-Aids and gauze and everything to help Megan through whatever she needs. But but the players just adore her too as a sponsor. And that's the one thing that's really good about our sponsors. They're very engaged with our organization as a whole. And we're very fortunate to have that. And vice versa, where our team is very supportive of those sponsors that step up to support. So we're real lucky. But yeah, that's your complete care. She stepped up with some goodie bags for our watch party and threw
That's
some
awesome.
stuff in there. So I'm glad you got one of them. We had all sorts of prizes from all sponsors. Yeah. And we'll do that at every watch party. So there'll be a way we give them away. I think we did them in Easter eggs this last time.
Yes.
That we did the tickets. So who knows how we'll give them away at the next one.
So if somebody is just happened across our show or regularly watches our show and has an opportunity that may be right for sponsorship with the Gunslingers, what do they do? Like, how do they start that process?
Tell them they're welcome to email me at Jen, Jen, at sagunslingers.com. They're welcome to call the office. They can jump on the website. I would throw my cell phone out there, but that might scare people. So let's not do that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
We won't do that.
They can reach out to you. You guys know how to get a hold of me as well. But yes, definitely send me an email. We've still got time. There's plenty of opportunities. There's sponsorships per game. There's sponsorships for the rest of the season. There's opportunity for away games and home games. I mean, there's always something we could create. As you all look and see now, each one of you, I think, has a different sponsor on your uniforms that you're wearing, as a matter of fact. So there's always something. And if I put it to the team when we meet once a week and we come up with something creative. So it's good.
So how could we as a podcast help you?
Wow. Referrals. If there's somebody that you guys are talking to, pass on my contact info. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all. Tell them that you sent them. Also, just, keeping us abreast of any businesses when you're out and about that are into football or into the sport or into wanting to come see a game. They can come as our guest and check it out first. I will gladly host them and let them see what we have to offer. Because I think, like you all know, the visual sells it itself. Once you're there and it sells it. And then you start looking around and seeing all the logos and the giveaways and, how many times have we, dosed it, and found the dose for dose or complete care and complete care corner or South Texas Spine, or we've even got some new sponsors that are out there. Sideliners is going to be part of our hamburger building. Compliments.
Nice.
Very cool.
So there's just new opportunities out there all day long. We kind of have adopted that Savannah banana kind of mentality where we want to give it back to those who are attending, because we're so limited on time on the field and we never know when we can do a break to do a sponsorship. So anything that we can do in the stands, we're all about it. So that's why our sponsorships can be minimal, or we can, you can own the whole gambit, right? So there's plenty of opportunity for everybody.
And I know a lot of people, and maybe there may be fans right now that are just about to click off because they're like, I want to talk football. I don't want to talk about sponsorships. I don't want to hear about money. I'm a pastor, and we have people all the time that like, I come to church. I don't need to hear you tell me I need to give to the church.
Right.
But my response is always yes, but the church doesn't exist without your giving. In the same way, the Gunslingers don't exist without sponsorships. Correct. That is the engine that drives the train. That is the front of the train that pulls this. Ticket sales and all of the other things help. Merchandise, all of that kind of stuff helps.
Yeah.
But sponsorship dollars is the big engine that pulls the whole train. And so without these conversations and without getting in front of sponsors and then getting sponsors in front of fans, this just doesn't work. It does not exist without sponsorship dollars, right?
That's true. Well, and here's the other thing that I always try to tell people. We really try to find a way, and I will say this, especially our merch group with Weston and April and Jordan, and they really, really think through the cool giveaways. They really wanted to be sponsor driven, but they also want it to be something that you want to take home and you're not like, oh, I just got this. You know, they really put some effort into, like, we just got the pennants. You know, we all know we're going to hang that pennant. You know, there's those items they put a lot of thought into. Yes, sir.
I got mine up here, and Leo's got his there. So yeah,
I got mine right behind me.
And that's the thing is, you know, even our merch down to our uniforms and our giveaway, the merch table, there's a lot of thought that goes into those jerseys. What makes it unique? What makes it different? What makes it special for that particular night that makes you go back and want to purchase? You know, we had people come out to the watch party just to get the Fiesta shirt because they're so limited and you don't want to miss out. Absolutely. And it looks good. I love it.
You hear that, Leo? You're going to miss out.
Dang.
But that's what makes it so special, is that it is a lot of heart that goes in there, not for just our players, but for those who attend and those who support and those who work there, and from the ushers to the staff to the owner. There's always that support there. So yes, whether buy your tickets. If you don't want to sponsor, just get tickets and go. Take your clients, take your staff, take your people.
Good idea.
You can give incentives back to those that are right there with you working in your business. If you don't feel like you have the funds or you don't want to be on the field and brand your business, take your staff. All of us have a sales department, right? Those are great incentives. Get your block tickets and take people out to entertain. It's so reasonably priced.
Absolutely.
If you want to go bigger, then let's talk. So we can have.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We know you're busy. You've got a lot going on, but I think it's an important conversation to have because so many people don't really think about how they can slot into something like this. And most of us know somebody that makes decisions for a small business in San Antonio. Everybody has a favorite restaurant. Everybody has a favorite bar. Everybody has, an insurance urgent care that they go to or an insurance carrier that they use. Like, everybody has those connections. So there's no reason you couldn't reach out and say, hey, this is something I am a fan of, and I think you might do well to reach out and connect with these folks and see if you can get what I love about this place in front of even more people.
Absolutely. And if worst case scenario, tell them to come to the watch party and I'll buy them a drink and we can chat. So it's more casual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've got all of those. So I will gladly do that.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for stopping by. We've had a great time talking to you. I know I've seen your name. Every time I watch Branded, your name pops up because you're always there connecting with folks on Branded. And I'm making my silly, snarky comments and my jokes that don't work out well, depending on who's reading them. But I appreciate getting to know you and getting to connect with you some. Hopefully this won't be the only time we have you on.
Oh, anytime. But you guys, we love your support too. And thank you guys for everything you do.
You bet.
We appreciate you, Jen.
Yes.
Love you.
Thank you, Jen.
That is Jen, and she is part of the marketing and sponsorship arm of the Gunslingers. I know that's kind of a weird way to start off a show when we're going to be talking about a game in Tulsa and a game against Vegas and all of these things, but I'm serious. We all can affect that conversation, and it is the train it is the engine that drives the train. Sponsorship dollars are so very important in this, and it is what it is. Like, we can be involved in being a part of the success or a part of the failure of things like this, and we all want it to succeed. So if you think of that guy that owns his own comic book store and is just frustrated because he can't get his name in front of people, you now know a way that he might be able to get that name in front of more people. It's there. It exists.
That's true.
Yep.
Well, Leo, RC, we just had a football game a couple of days ago, and it did not go the way we wanted to. In fact, I would go further and say it did not go well. I would say of the 4 games this season, this was the worst game the Gunslingers played.
Absolutely.
And that's not good.
Was Was it
No.
the highest scoring game, but yet the worst?
No, the highest scoring game was the one against Arizona.
Okay.
And even though
Well,
we
it was up
lost,
there. It was up there.
even though we lost that game against Arizona, last week I talked about how I saw some things that were positive, some good things. It
Right.
wasn't, I don't like to lose, but if I lose, I like to see some things I can hang my hat on. And I had those things. The first game of the season, we lost against Tulsa, but we all recognized that the defense was vastly different than anything we had last year. This game is our Vegas of last year. Last year, when we got to the Vegas game, I really started to pull the ripcord a little bit and panic a little bit about what we were seeing. And I got to tell you, Leo, I'm kind of there again. I'm kind of in that same spot where I'm like, is this going to be really a rough season? And I got to talk myself down off the ledge a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely come away from this game feeling worse than any other game this season. You had the first game against Tulsa and it was at home, but it's the first game and it's kind of the unknown and we were hoping for the win at home, but still you're optimistic. Then they win the second game, on the road. So things are going good there. You had some changes, obviously, after that. And the third game we talked about last week, or they won every quarter except the second quarter. That was the killer. And you're just talking about, well, just a couple of things that we need to change. And, not to mention we were also playing the defending champions and gave them all they could at home. So we're feeling really good going into this game at Tulsa. It was going to be the revenge game. And, yes, it's on the road and nobody thought that Tulsa was going to be easy. We know what a physical and fast team they are. But we went in there and this was not the Gunslingers team that we're used to seeing on so many different levels.
Do you think that has anything to do that has anything to do with the fact that we have not been in front of a home crowd in over a month?
That could have something to do with it. Yes.
I know last week you guys said, well, mathematically with numbers, blah, 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 we don't really have to win. And I said, no, we have to win. The fans need a W. And y'all were like, well, the mathematical, that. And I said we needed it. And I feel the same way. You could feel that at the watch party. We're getting excited, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't what we wanted to see. And so I'm sad that we're 1-3, but not only that, but how we look on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good, and there's not a lot of good things. Like there were a couple of plays that I can take in a vacuum and go, "Hey, that Guy Myers run was really exciting." Yes, it was. It means virtually nothing. I'm not discounting the incredible play that it was. The incredible thing that Guy Myers did. I don't want to discount any of that, but when you really look at it, if you look at it outside of that vacuum of that one play, it meant nothing. As exciting and as cool and as awesome as it was, it just didn't affect anything. And we had a whole game of just poor play. Kevin Lewis, abysmal, out-schemed, out-physical. We lost all three phases of the game, and he's right.
Yes, 100%.
Now,
100%. Not just out-physical, but what really disappointed me, Philip, was effort-wise.
Speak to that, because I know that you noticed something. I didn't notice it until you mentioned it, and then I started noticing it as I watched through the game.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna call on this particular. I mean, there were on all aspects of the game, as Kevin Lewis was saying, but in this particular aspect is what I noticed and mentioned to you, Philip, is that we had guys out there, particularly at wide receiver, that once the play was on its way, once the ball was in the running back's hand or thrown at whatever receiver that happened to catch the ball that play, our guys were not matching the level of physicality and aggression of the Tulsa defense. Those guys were fast and swarmed the ball. and you could see receivers, you could see guys out there that once they ran their route or once they made their initial block, the play was over for them. Meanwhile, you have Keyshawn Harper trying to get out of the backfield, running for his life, and guys are just swarming to him. And the guys that were supposed to be blocked by receivers down the field and engaged so that they're not involved in that play, next thing you know, they're involved in that play. It's a game tackle. And they're swarming the ball, attacking the ball, and you've got Gunslingers players out there on the field watching from wherever their route ended or wherever they were at when they made their initial, assignment. And that was kind of the nutshell of what we saw in multiple aspects of as far as the effort that our Gunslingers were putting on the field.
And I don't want to speak for you, Leah, so say I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But when you look at the game, when you watch the game back with that in mind, and you go, who is he talking about? He's talking about everybody. Yeah. Everybody looks that way. Everybody at some point looks like they are not as engaged as Tulsa is. Now, that's a credit to Tulsa. Good for them. But that's a problem for us. And so if you're a player or you're a family member or your friend or whatever of a player, and you're like, well, he's not talking about my guy. We are, because it was there. If it was not there, it looked like it was there. That's all I can really say about that.
They should change their name to like the Hornets or the Bees, because they would swarm over here and they would swarm over here. They were like busy bees. They were all over the field. And then you would see our guys that were kind of just standing there.
Yeah, they definitely didn't match the intensity of the Tulsa Oilers. I get the feeling every time we play Tulsa that they see San Antonio as almost a rival to them. They really get up for playing the San Antonio Gunslingers. I've seen that in the games we've played against them at Freeman. I don't know if it's because the fan base and the heckling and the time we give them, in the Freeman Coliseum or what, but they seem to really get up when they play against us.
They get fired up.
They are fired up. And you see a lot of chippiness out there. And the Gunslingers in prior games have matched that intensity.
Yes, absolutely.
They did not this game. They did not.
And you just got to wonder if being on the road this long, and I realize they come back to San Antonio, but that doesn't make it any better because every game is a 3-day event instead of just a game. It is travel. It is getting there. It is not sleeping in your own bed. It's playing a game, and then it's traveling again, as opposed to a home game, which is a much easier sort of thing to get into. That's why home games are great. Jason Wood said, I was sitting next to the bench in Tulsa. The team seemed fractured. There was a lot of frustration and arguing amongst each other in the gunslinger area is what he means. Coach Q, Quentin Humphrey, has a couple of things here. He says the lineman package on both sides of the ball needs attention. And that's a coach. Like he coached these gunslingers at one time. He knows what he's talking about. And he also says you don't ever take time off. You give 100%, even if you aren't the one who gets the ball. And that is some of what you saw, Leo. And once you saw it and pointed it out to me, I began to see it too. It was true in this game. Yeah, that's all we're saying. Does that mean that that's who this team is? Well, no. We know that they are better than that. They are more than that. That's why this was somewhat surprising to see this sort of, and maybe they were just getting out hustled that badly by Tulsa, but that's just not the way I saw it. I guess that's possible. If you are one of our players and you're really, really mad at us right now, I got to ask why. That we're just saying what we see. And if we're seeing it, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so you may be mad at us. Please don't be mad at us. We're just telling you what we as fans are seeing.
Be mad at them. Don't be mad at me.
What it looks like to us. Right. Me and Leo, RC has nothing to do with it.
And we love this team. We love our guys. We love our gunslingers. But
For sure.
you know, we're not the type of show. We're not the type of fans that are going to sit here and sugarcoat everything.
Nope.
If we see a problem, we're going to point out that problem. But we're not doing it to trash talk anybody. We're doing it because we're saying, come on, this isn't who you are. This isn't what this team is, and we know you're better. So, you know, we're just pointing out because, and we're not the only ones. I mean, we're talking, you're seeing it in the comments here, and just amongst each other. I've seen comments on the Gunslingers fan page from fans and just voicing their frustration with the team right now. And it's because of how they were outplayed. I mean, the score is not indicative of how they were outplayed as far as the intensity level. And there's some other things that we still need to talk about. It wasn't.
We're gonna get there. Yeah, Kevin Lewis says through all the losses, at least we matched up physically.
Yeah.
This time around, defensive players arm tackling, diving at ankles, one player being able to rush through three of our guys. That stuff shouldn't happen. Like it just shouldn't happen. And they know that. I am certain when they got back to San Antonio, sat down and watched film, they also saw this. Like this isn't something that we are making up. It was there. And I know these guys have pride in who they are and how they play the game. I'm sure they saw it too. You know this lady?
We are a better team.
Luis Yamas, you know this lady, Leo? You share a last name with this person. You must know her.
I kind of remember her. I think I met her at was it a restaurant? Mexican restaurant?
She's my sister, so yes, I know her.
She says, I still don't see the quarterback mesh with the players. There's a disconnection, which leads me to something that I have noticed. I am just a fan.
Yes.
I'm not a coach. I'm not the general manager of the team, although I try to act like it sometimes.
True.
I'm not sure we have the right guy at quarterback anymore. I've really wanted this to work out. I really like Malik Henry. I like what he brought to the team. I like what he did with James Fuller back in 2023 in Carolina. But at this point, I have seen one fairly solid performance in 4 games. And that is just not good enough. And so I don't know, like my attitude up to this point has been, it'll get better. It'll get better. He'll get better. He's just learning the team. He's getting connected with the players. But Dolores says it perfect right here. She says, I don't see the quarterback meshing with the players. There's a disconnection here. I agree. And at this point, that should not be the case. And here's the problem, fans. I don't know what that means because anybody worth you're going to have to really beat the bushes to find anybody worth having right now because everybody that's worth having has a job. And
it's taken. And
here's my problem. As we started the show this season, we are on our 9th episode of season 5. Episode 1 of this season, we had the head coach of the San Antonio Gunslingers on here. And one of the things at the time, and one of the things we brought up is that we would not have Sam Castronova again. And at that time, we were told as fans on this very show that I've got 3 guys in camp that are better than Sam Castronova. Then he went out and signed 2 more quarterbacks, started one of those guys, and that guy is not connecting with the rest of the offense. At this point, and I thought it at the time, but I couldn't say it because he knows more than me. He's smarter than me. He's the head coach, and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, he said, I've got 3 quarterbacks in camp better than Sam Castronova. I thought, BS. That's bull. That can't be possible. In fact, if you go back and watch the episode now, you'll see me look at the camera and be like, I don't know about that. Now I can say with empirical evidence, that was bull. That was just a line of bull.
And kind of disrespectful.
And really, I thought it at the time. I thought it was disrespectful to Sam and to fans of the team that fell in love with Sam and what he did for our team last year. We were the number one offense. And a lot of that had to do with Sam Castronova.
Absolutely.
Malik Henry is not a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad quarterback. I just don't know that he fits here. Look, remember last year when we were all super excited about Zach Brown? And Zach Brown was coming in, and we all loved Zach Brown and loved him as a person. We still do. But he wasn't the right fit here. And so he went on and fit somewhere else, and he's still playing, and he's making his impact there in the game. It just didn't work here in San Antonio. And I think, guys, I'm to the point where I feel that's true with Malik. I just don't know that it fits here. I don't know that it works here. But I don't know what to do about that, because I don't know where we're going to find another quarterback if that's the case. And you may say, well, why not just promote Guy Myers and him be our starter? I don't think that's the answer either. He's gotten some opportunities, and I just don't see enough.
Who would you want?
It's a small sample size.
Sam Castronova, that's who I want, but that ain't going to happen.
That's not happening. But it's
Scott,
like,
I was going through my phone book yesterday, like, who am I going to send Easter greetings to? And it came up Castanova's mom. And I just went, oh, you know what I mean? Because it just brought back really good memories.
Weston says, Sam is a great quarterback. I could be wrong, but I think the Firebirds are undefeated. You are not wrong. They are. Our defense last year cast a shadow over how great our offense was. I just looked it up today. Just because this has been on my mind, I looked it up today. Sam Castronova in the AF1 at the Albany Firebirds has played 5 games. He has a 62. He's completed 62 of 110 passes, 24 touchdowns, 24 touchdowns to 1 interception.
That's key.
mm-hmm.
Do you want to compare that?
No, not really.
There's not really any point to compare his stats this season to what we've done at this point, because he's not a gunslinger right now. Once a gunslinger, always a gunslinger, but he's not on the roster, and we're crying over something that
no.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Moving forward is the question. Right. I agree with you what you're saying, that moving forward, what is the solution? I think Kevin Lewis said a little while ago in one of the comments, I think you agree with what he's saying. And then Chase Risman just said, is there a reason why Malik was pulled Saturday night?
Yeah. So Chase did ask that question. And then Kevin says that he feels like Malik is locking in on receivers and not going through the progressions. I see that too, Kevin. That's exactly what I see. I see Malik. In fact, I'll point out one play, and this is one play in a vacuum, and I understand that. But it is indicative of what I saw as I watched this game through a second time. There's a play in the early part of the second quarter where we are 3rd and 10 on the 11 or 12 of Tulsa in scoring range. And Malik Henry snaps the ball and locks in on Austin Upshaw on the sideline. He gets 2 yards out of the pass. What he does not see is that Naquan Murray is running a crossing route along the goal line and is open. Is he wide open? No. Is he open enough that Malik can make that throw? Yes. But he never saw it.
Yep.
Never saw it at all.
And that sort of situation, I know exactly what play you're talking about, but it happened multiple times this game. There were multiple times that receivers were open, and particularly Naquan Murray, and you could see the frustration on the receivers after the play was over, because they, of course, every receiver, when they're open, they want the ball. And it just seems like he locks in a little bit and he's not seeing the field. He only had 1 interception, but it was a terrible one. At this point, I mean, he had a good game last week. He said he had one good game. um, 6 touchdowns. So it's like I don't know what the Gunslingers do from here on, if they're going to go back to Malik or if they're going to give Guy Myers, like you said, you don't see Guy Myers as being a solution. I can't make
But
that
I haven't
statement because
I haven't seen him with
sample size.
And I haven't seen him with first team reps. Like, give him first team reps for a week and send him out there as your quarterback and let's see what we got. I don't think it's going to. It can only be better. That sounds terrible. I don't mean that toward Malik, but I think it could be an improvement. I'm willing to take the risk at this point. I'm willing to take the chance. And again, I'm not the coach. I'm not the GM. I'm just a fan. I'm telling you what I see. But sure, I guess try it.
Guy definitely runs with more conviction.
He does. He does.
He runs hard. He gets fired up. Maybe he could fire up the team a little bit more by leading by example. I think Malik Henry has shown a little bit of hesitancy to take the hit.
Yep.
Even though he's a mobile quarterback, I think he's shown some hesitancy to kind of get dirty, if that makes any sense. And I definitely don't see that with Guy. So we don't know what the Gunslingers are planning on doing.
No.
But we're more talking about what we've seen in Malik to this point. And Philip, you're ready. That you think
I'm ready.
It's time to move to a different.
I think we need to try something else. I don't know what that something is. And if it's Guy Myers, then I'm going to be cheering for 19 as much as I've been cheering for Malik Henry. Like I'm going to be behind Guy Myers. I want the right person under center. I don't believe we have that right now. Mark Yamaguchi, I believe Guy can do it. All right. Let's see it. I'm okay with that. Like I know Tina. I think Tina's upset with me right now. She just sent out a wow while ago when I said I just haven't seen it from Guy. And I know what that's what the wow was. Maybe she's upset with me. I have not seen it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not there. That just means I haven't
seen it.
Jay Washington has an idea. How about Luis Perez?
Yes, he's not leaving Arlington.
Why don't we go get Chase Garbers?
Oh God.
At least we all agree we need Chase. Can we all agree on that?
Kevin Lewis brings up something that I know, Leo, you sent to me on Saturday night. We can't run the ball at all. And if you can't run the ball, you don't take the pressure off the passing game. That does not help Malik Henry at all when we cannot run the ball.
That was my comment at the beginning of the show where I said, sometimes if it ain't working, it just ain't working. And we need to understand that and recognize that. Now that's one of the things I question. There's 2 things I question, and I'm like you. I'm just a fan watching from the outside. I'm not a coach. I'm not on the bench. I don't know what's going on. But I didn't understand why we kept going back to the run on critical play situations on third and we're needing to convert, even 4th down, I think a couple times. Going to the run game when it hadn't worked. I know we had the offensive linemen where they were doing a pull, and we had one of the tackles on the outside coming around across to the other side, leaving that edge player open. And maybe that works with some teams, but it wasn't working with Tulsa. Whoever that edge player was, whichever side it was on, was in the backfield like within a matter of a second and wasn't missing a tackle. You know, you can sometimes you want to lean on Harper to make that guy miss, but he wasn't. They were not missing. They were in his face. And then once they made him, adjust or move off to the side, then you had everybody else swarming, like I mentioned earlier, because they weren't being impeded at all. And they were just coming in and I mean, Harper's probably battered and bruised today. The running game was just non-existent. And I don't know why we kept going back to it. You want to keep the defense honest. I understand that. But when it ain't working, sometimes you got to change things up. And that running scheme was not working.
Weston coming to bat for Guy. He says, I see a passionate guy that I haven't seen in Malik Henry or even Sam. He was given 1 quarter to prove himself when down 3 touchdowns. He came in on fire and ran the dang field. I'd love to see him throw more, but he needs more than a quarter to show what he can do. Maybe so.
Bring it. Yeah.
And Tina agrees with Weston, whereas she's upset with me right now. And I understand. Hey, I'm a dad.
That's your son.
I know how I feel when people say anything about my kids, my daughters. So I don't blame her. It's fine. Yeah, it's me. It's me. It's not. Oh,
well, sorry. Go.
Blame him.
I'm getting excited because I see Jamar Washington's comment, and that just hit the nail on the head for me. And that's something I talked to you about, Philip. This is the other thing where, like, again, I'm just a fan. I don't know better than Coach. I'm not saying I know better than Coach, but I don't understand why Coach chooses to go and multiple occasions in that first half to go for it on fourth. I think one was 4th and 4, and the other one was 4th and 8. This IFL is a different league this year.
Yes,
it's not the race track that it's been in the past of score. You got to score a touchdown every possession or you're going to fall behind. There's the rules have changed. It's still offensively, leaning towards offense, but the defense plays a much bigger role in these games now. And it's not just in Gunslingers games. It's across the board in the league. And when your offense is a work in progress, as it is right now, why are you going to leave points on the field? 2 times we went for it on 4th down when I thought we should have kicked the field goal. That's 6 points we left on the field in the first half, and then possibly 9 because kicking is a rhythm thing. And if you get Hudel into a rhythm with those 2 earlier attempts, opportunities that he didn't have, maybe he hits that one at the last second to end the first half. And that's 9 points that you have in your pocket going into the second half and knowing that Tulsa's going to get the ball first. Instead of being down 2 possessions and giving them the ball, you're down 1 possession and you got to make that one stop and you're right back into it. I don't understand the need to go for it on 4th down in the current situation.
I agree.
Need to see more of the thicker kicker.
I agree. This is a different style of football than we've played before in the indoor game. This is becoming more and more akin to the outdoor game, which, by the way, is what the Indoor Football League wants. They want to be more indicative of the outdoor game just on a smaller field, which is fine. If that's the style of game they want to play, we're getting closer and closer to that. So I think you're right. Like, let's take the points when we can take the points. It is a little difficult, a little different in this league in that in the outdoor game, you have a battery of people. I've said this for years. I brought this up to Coach Manas several times. He told me I didn't know what I was talking about a couple of times when I brought this up, but I truly believe that kicking is harder in this league, and it has nothing to do with the width of the goalpost. It does have to do with the fact that you don't have a battery of people that do nothing but long snap, hold, kick. We don't have the roster space to have guys that just do those things on the sideline all game long. We don't have the roster that we can make that happen. These guys have to be other pieces and other parts of our team to make it work. And so there is a part of this game that makes it harder to kick because long snappers aren't dialed in the way they are in some other versions of the game. Holders, I think, have the hardest job in the world out there when a long snapper snaps the ball anywhere that is not right here at chest level. When you have to reach up here or out here or down because the ball bounces, get your hands on the ball, get it placed, and turn it all within seconds. If that snap doesn't come right where it needs to be, it's hard. So I understand why coaches tend to shy away from the kicking game because there are lots of things in the kicking game that can go wrong. And that's why we see a lot of those things happen in the IFL that we don't see in other expressions of football.
Do you think Scott Daly might come back from the Bears just to help us out?
I don't think he's going to say no to an NFL position to come help us out at the Gunslingers. No, I don't. I don't.
Just thought I'd ask.
But that's part of what I'm basing this on. Look, Long snappers in college and the NFL and the UFL, for that matter, those long snappers are judged by the number of rotations the ball takes from the snap to the holder. And if you do too many or too few, you're not as good a snapper as that guy, because there is a perfect number of rotations that this happens. So, it's tough. Raul Nava brings up, if I'm not mistaken, we used to use Kali as a holder. That's correct. We sure did. It led to one of the most amazing plays in Gunslinger history. It exists. It's out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
We lost RC.
Weston says, "What's Huddle's record so far? I recall one miss, but I could be wrong. He is 3 for 3 on field goals, I believe, or was.
He missed one in his first game.
Okay.
I think he missed 1 out of 3. He made 2, missed 1. And then he missed 1 this past weekend. So I know he's missed 2, but he's made more.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a rhythm thing. I have 100% confidence he would have made the 2 that we opted to go on 4th down, because we were deep in Oilers territory on those 2. The third one that he actually missed because he had an opportunity to go out there right before as time expired, that was a long kick. So, who knows on that one.
Right. These are just the things that we're seeing. I noticed the quarterback issue. Leo, you noticed the fact that we left points on the field. You also noticed the fact that the effort just didn't seem to be there all the way around. Not calling anybody out specifically because it was all there. All of those things together. Missed tackles. God, tackling was awful. My father, who does not watch IFL, I've tried, but he was with us for Easter weekend, and so he was watching the game with us. And about halfway through the game, he goes, "Your guys don't tackle very well, do they?"
But they do. We've seen it.
Normally they do, Dad. I know that sounds.
It was a bad day. It was a bad game. And so I know that there are answers to all of these things, and I know we're not the only ones to notice. I know that James Fuller and his staff are working on some of these answers. I know that James Stubing and the front office is doing whatever they can do to make this team better. One of the things we have not talked about, Leo, is that before this game was even played, but after our last show, we found out that the Gunslingers were releasing our top tackler in Jordan Jones. And I know a lot of fans went, "Wait, why?" I reached out to the team. Their response was, "It is in the best interest of the organization." I don't know what that means. I do know that guy got thrown out of a game early in the second quarter, and from what I've been told, because we couldn't see it on the broadcast, wasn't shown, yeah.
But from what I've been told, absolutely earned it is what is the quote that I will use. Absolutely earned being thrown out of the game. And if you can't be available, you can't be our top tackler. Like, if you can't be on the field, you can't be the guy tackling people, and maybe we have to make changes. Yeah. Jordan Jones has always had a short fuse. He is known around the league as a guy who can make some boneheaded sort of decisions. And so it's in the best interest of the organization. Maybe the best interest of the organization is to go with someone else who doesn't, it hurts because he was
with the culture too.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. What were you going to say, Leo?
I was going to say, yeah, he was our leading tackler. He was a spark plug on defense.
Yep.
He was a force in the middle of the field, and that's a very important position. But if you're doing things to get tossed out of games, and then you have people saying very deservedly so, that doesn't fit what this organization has always said they're about. They've always said from day one, we want players that represent the city of San Antonio and represent them well. And if we don't know what happened, but if it was bad enough for that comment to be made and for him to be ejected from the game, that could be exactly why he's no longer a gunslinger.
Yeah. Now they replaced him with a kid named Roscoe. If you were watching the game, Rasco. If you were watching the game, you noticed him because he played fairly well. He is a guy that has played the outdoor sport up to this point. He was wearing number 1. So if you go and look at stats, Leo, and you're looking for Roscoe, you won't find him. His stats are actually listed under Ravarius Rivers because Ravarius Rivers was wearing number 1 at the beginning of the season. And I guess his name hasn't gotten changed under that number. So if you look at Ravarius Rivers' stat line for the game, he was the leading tackler for the Gunslingers. He had 7.5 tackles with his tackle numbers. No tackles for loss, which hurts, but 7.5 tackles and led the Gunslingers. So admirable that he was able to, he wasn't Jordan Jones. I'm not saying we perfectly replaced Jordan Jones. That's not what happened, but he was admirable. Kevin Lewis.
What constitutes a half a tackle? Like half the body?
When 2 people get there at the same time, they are both credited with half a tackle.
Yeah.
Same thing on a sack. If 2 people get to the quarterback at the same time, neither one of them, you can't give them each a sack because that's not the way things happened. There weren't 2 sacks there. There was only 1 sack. So they have to share the credit on it. He had 5 individual tackles, and then the rest of his tackles were made up in tackles shared tackles.
Got it.
So, Jason Wood said, let's talk about good things. Let's talk about Duck stripping the ball and taking it for 6. I'm sorry. You're right. We're missing the good moments, and they were there because they ultimately just didn't matter. Guy running the ball the way he did was a great moment. It didn't matter. It didn't affect the game the way it should have. Duck stripping the ball is another one of those moments that was a great moment in a vacuum, but just didn't ultimately make a big difference. Weston saying, if you can't play in the game, you shouldn't take up a spot on the roster. We got to keep guys that are healthy and dedicated to being on the field. I have a sense that is the reason why Jordan Jones. And by the way, as far as I know, he didn't immediately get snapped up by another team either. Now he might within the next few days. We might hear something. So, Lois says, why do you think this San Antonio loves Kali? He's never changed. Always himself. Represents the organization and the city very well. I'm not biased. You are, but you're biased for a good reason. Because that's who Kali is and always has been. He represents the organization. He represents our city. He plays his heart out. He had another one of those moments that, had it not been for just an amazing pursuit by one player, would have been another kick return for a touchdown. He was there. He was free. He had black field in front of him because it's not green. But he had nothing but black in front of him to the end zone, and one guy just ran him down from behind, kind of inexplicably, or he would have had another return for a touchdown. He had those moments again.
Well, I know what happened.
What?
The guy that was supposed to block him stopped. Same thing that happened on those other plays.
Really?
There were guys running down the field making the block. They made the initial block, and then they stopped playing. And then next thing you know, that guy's free now, and he catches up to Kali. I'm obviously biased towards Kali as well, like Lolis, but I'm not excluding him from my criticism of not matching the intensity of the Tulsa Oilers. I want to make that clear. Kali Rashad was not innocent of all the things that we're talking about during this game. The criticism goes to the whole team.
Yep, I agree.
Now, Philip, last week you had mentioned how the wall was black and the uniforms were black and kind of how like they camouflaged.
Go ahead.
Wasn't that a little? I mentioned that. I think I sent you all a message about that while I was at the watch party.
You
the
did.
Uniforms were black. The field was black.
You did.
You don't think that has something to do with it?
Nope. You're looking at it on the on a TV broadcast and you're seeing that, but that's not the way that their perspective is on the field. Those are all white walls and players in black around. So you can spot the players fairly easily in that particular setup. But the way you're looking at it, when you're looking kind of down on players all in black against the black fields, you may lose them a little bit. But the perspective of folks on the field is not. By the way, the reason you were losing them a little bit is because, and I'm trying to be real nice here when I say this, the broadcast is poor coming out of Tulsa in a couple of different ways. I think they're broadcasting in 780 instead of 1080, or 720 instead of 1080. That makes a big difference. I think they're broadcasting at a lower frame rate because it just looks fuzzy. The whole picture does. And their broadcast team, which was brand new, first home game, I understand all of those things. The guy that was the color analyst, my job in Tulsa, did not know the rules of the game. He freely said so. This is my first IFL game. I'm learning as I go. That bothers me because you had time. You had a month of IFL football that you could have caught up on this, and he didn't do that. And my biggest pet peeve in the world, and I hate it when I do it, and I know I do it from time to time, is stop talking over the referee. What the referee has to say is so much more important to me as a person watching the game than what you think. I don't care what you think. I need to hear what the referee is telling me about why things are changing on the field. Shut up. Stop talking over the referee. And they did it the whole dang game, and it drove me insane.
You know what annoyed me was
Tell
the
us how you
guy
really feel, Philip.
Ziegenberg or Ziegenbach or whatever the guy's name was that would come on after they came back from a break just to say whatever it was, we're in Tulsa and now here's so-and-so back to the action. And then like a couple of times he did that just so that they could fit him in there.
Right.
To say something we absolutely didn't need. We missed half the play.
That's true.
That was really annoying.
So my favorite moment with that, as I'm watching today, I'm watching the game today, and Abigail, my middle daughter, who was sick, she was supposed to go to work today, did not end up going to work, so she's laying on the couch, resting, and she's watching the game when she's not looking at TikTok on her phone because she's a college kid, and that's what she does. At one point, he came on, and his microphone says, whatever their station is, it's your something. Do you know what I'm talking about? But your is spelled Y-U-R, not Y-O-U-R. It's Y-U-R, your. Mm-hmm. And she goes, why did they spell your wrong? And I go, I don't know. It's out of Tulsa in Oklahoma. And she goes, never mind. That explains it. That's my kid. That's my kid right there. Absolutely my kid. The snarkiness there definitely did not skip a generation. James Palmer says, anybody listen to the radio broadcast? If so, how did that go? I listened to a few minutes of it. I love Ralph. He is my buddy. He was losing his voice.
Oh, no.
From the very beginning, and it was grating on me in such a way that I could not listen to it. I love Ralph, and I'll go back and try to listen to it another time. But it was really, really, really grating on me, and I couldn't do it.
So what you're saying is you can't stand the sound of Ralph's voice. when it's in that moment. We love you, Ralph.
Ralph.
Don't listen to him.
Raul Nava has a perfect comment here. If Kali was about half a foot taller, he'd be at the next level. Yep. You're dang right he would. You're absolutely 100% correct. He would be. Absolutely. James Palmer, so you're saying I need to step in this Saturday since he has no voice. I think he'll be good. Ralph, rest that voice because I need you, buddy. Chase Risman says, is there a radio broadcast for the IFL network? So this time out, there was. It was on TSP, Texas Sports Productions. It was an audio-only broadcast. a San Antonio Gunslinger feed. Ralph and Taylor were on the call. I wasn't able to go out there. It was Holy Week. It was kind of busy for me. But they were actually in Tulsa and calling the game on a separate feed. A feed that I will mention was on Texas Sports Productions, which has a Roku channel. So you could actually get the game on Roku, sort of. IFL.
That's how you really feel.
Hey, I streamed the game I couldn't make it to the watch party. We had family over for Easter and
Right.
had a gathering, but I streamed the game on my TV using the browser app and just went to iflnetwork.com and signed in and had no problems.
I've been watching on my Xbox. I want a Roku app. I think it's ridiculous that we've waited this long. Ralph, responding to you, Leo, about how I cannot stand the sound of Ralph's voice. He says, thing is, Leo, that wasn't my voice anymore. True. James Palmer, Philip, the browser has no issues. Again, I've been using my browser on the Xbox. I've been watching it that way. It's fine. Tina, Ralph rocks. He does. I don't think I can express to you the amount of preparation and information that Ralph goes into with a game, and he makes me better because he calls me and tells me all of this information or texts me with all of this information, and I prepare by osmosis in a lot of ways through Ralph for games. He makes me better as an analyst because of what he does, and he prepares in a way that I don't think anybody else in this league does. There are guys out there that do great jobs, but I don't think anybody is prepared as Ralph Judkins when he does a call. Missions Highlighter said he was watching. Missions Highlighter said he was watching the game on his phone while he was at the Missions game. There you go. Jay Washington, Ralph tried his best with the limited voice he had. No joke. Like, he's been talking about this for weeks. He asked me if I could join him up there, and of course I couldn't because of work. And man, I felt for him because as soon as I logged in, I was getting ready for another church service because that's what you do on Holy Week. And I was listening to the first part of the game and heard his voice, and it was just woo. It was rough, and I felt for him because I knew how much he had prepared and put into getting this call ready. Chase asking, is TSP going to do radio broadcast of Road Slinger gun road games for the rest of the year? No. At least that is not the current plan as far as we know. This was a one-off to maybe see how it worked, and I don't know that they will do that again. It just kind of worked out that this one worked. I don't think you can expect to see that regularly, Chase.
Don't hold your breath. That's what he's trying to say.
I know Chase is looking for information that he can tweet because he's been live tweeting our shows over the last few weeks, which we love. Make sure you give us a link on there. Make sure you link folks back to the show page and to the show itself so that we can see some of those folks come over and connect with the show. We would really appreciate that. But I know over the last couple of weeks, Chase has been live tweeting the show, and that's what he's asking those questions for so that he can get that information out. So, no, I don't think that's a plan going forward, Chase.
We love you, Chase.
Not to put more on Ralph, but it'd be awesome to have more of that for sure.
It would be cool. It would be cool. It would be a neat deal, and I would tune in to a normal sounding Ralph for a game. Maybe not that Ralph, but a normal sounding Ralph. I would. Ralph, listening right now, says thanks everyone for the kind words. That's I think originally directed at you and me, Leo, but as you can see, a lot of folks on here have said some wonderful things about Ralph.
Yeah,
because he deserves it. Because
very well deserved.
He's the best.
He absolutely deserves it. So we lost.
Yeah.
So we're 1-3.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to change that. We are going to be 1-3. We go in. What's up?
I was gonna say a win next week will change it.
Right, because then we'll be 2-3. That's how math works. A loss next week will also change it, but we don't want to talk about that at all.
We're not thinking about that.
No more losses. No more losses.
Saturday, we take on the Vegas Nighthawks here in San Antonio, back in the Freeman Coliseum. I cannot wait to get back into the Freeman Coliseum. We need a home game in the worst way.
Yes.
And it is Fiesta night. Fiesta jerseys on sale. You can see those modeled in front of you right now. There are also going to be, there's going to be a brand new hat, I hear.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I hear there's going to be a brand new hat. There is going to be a what did he call it? A rock star chain? Let me see if I can pull this up.
A rock star chain.
Yeah. See, I get the good news. I get the good stuff here. Let me pull it up. And you both are holding out your San Antonio Gunslingers Fiesta medals. Those will be free to the first 1,500, I think, folks that come in. Maybe it's 500. I don't know. That's a big difference, so I should clarify. Somebody clarify that for me. But the first certain number of fans is going to get their Fiesta medals for free. What are the charms there? Because we're having trouble seeing them. So tell us what those charms say.
The one in the middle is a 6-shooter.
Yes, we know that. You've already pointed to that one. What do the other ones say?
Guns up on one side, and then the other side says,
I don't know
what does that say? SAG 2025, San Antonio Gunslingers, I'm assuming.
2025. And there you go.
Here.
There you go. 1,500. I was right. That's right.
A good shot of it there.
There you go. That is a good shot. Hold on. Keep doing that. Keep it right there. Don't change it. I want to see if I can get you. That's not what we wanted. That's not what we want. There is a way I can make you here. If I drag you over here and then I do that again. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Dragging me.
There you go.
We did it.
Very cool.
Very, 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 very cool. First 1,500 is going to get that Fiesta medal. I am still pulling up what I told you I would show you. James Palmer sent me a photo. What are you sending me photos for right now, James? I'm busy. I'm working. Don't you know I'm working here?
He's probably leaking some images.
Yeah, maybe so. I'll check it out here in just a second.
Was it last Fiesta game that I did the coin toss?
Was it?
I believe so.
They haven't asked me to do it this year. I don't know. I'm scared. I don't think that invite's coming.
I wonder why that could be. I wonder why they wouldn't invite you.
I'm practicing, though.
You need it.
Thanks a lot, Philip. I don't see you doing the coin toss.
I'm kind of busy in the game. There you go. There is the chain, the rocker chain that you can get.
Those look really cool, by the way. The chains really like sparkle. They really reflect the light. They're pretty awesome looking.
And I have a price point on that. I think it's 30. In fact, I'm almost certain that it is 30. Chain is 30. Great quality, he says. Hat design is still being finalized, and he doesn't want to promise something that he cannot get you. So he's working on that. He said they had those chains out with them in Tulsa. They're on Tulsa time. Big things happening. Big things. It's going to be a great game. You need to be there. Jordan.
Yes, you do.
Check it in
bring a
with
friend.
Says they have some nice weight to them. But then Jason Wood says they're light and won't weigh you down.
So enough weight to them that they feel solid, but not enough on your shoulders. They're not going to bother you resting on your shoulder around your neck.
It doesn't feel like a toy, but it also doesn't feel like an encumbrance. Mm-hmm. That's a big word for a bunch of football people on a Monday night. But yeah, those fan chains, the Mass Bandit of San Antonio likes it. Well, there you go.
Cool.
You can get
there
yours. Leo, we had this question last week. I'll ask you again. Is our game against Vegas on Saturday night a must win?
100%. This game is a must win. Last week we were like, yeah, it is, but mathematically it's not. This is a must win game. Not even still, not mathematically.
Right.
It's still early in the season, but it's a must win game. Coming off of that loss, coming off of this road trip, coming back at home in the Freeman Coliseum, wanting to make a statement, wanting to get the team back on the right track, the ship righted, and move forward from things that have happened in the past and changes. You gotta we gotta move forward, and we need something to spring us up. And then also, if you want to talk standings, if the playoffs started today, the Gunslingers would be in the playoffs, even with 1-3 record. But Vegas Nighthawks are right behind us at 1-2, and they are a conference team. They're in our conference, so you need that win.
That's important.
Distance yourself and create that little space. We want to stay in that playoff standings. 1-3 isn't great. We're a better team than 1-3. We've been through some adversity and some tough changes so far this season, though. But now we're back home and an opportunity to kind of right the ship, get things in order, move forward. They got to win this game. If they lose,
get your guns up.
It's going to be a real confidence downer for the team, the players, the fans, for everyone involved. I think this is a must-win game.
April Stubing checking in saying, I was thinking Leo for the coin and RC for ball delivery this time out.
Oh.
So there you go. Apparently, all your practice is going to go to waste, RC.
I got to start right now.
You need to be practicing.
Yeah, you better start, Leo.
Start practicing.
You don't want to get embarrassed on the coin toss, right, RC?
You sure don't. Let me tell you, it comes back to haunt you.
Jessica Palmer
Make one
says,
lousy flip wrong way, and everyone's talking about their coin toss.
Jessica Palmer says, RC, we got to meet Hoodle's family in Tulsa. His mom is a diehard football mom. She was amazing. You might want to see if she's willing to do the mom to mom. His support system is great.
Love it.
James Palmer says, how about I do the flip the coin for my birthday? I think that's a cool idea. It is James's birthday, James Palmer's birthday on Saturday. That would be kind of cool. His name is pronounced Huddle. Just Huddle, just like football, Huddle.
Huddle,
Not Hudle or not. Yeah, it's Huddle, according to his family. That's what Jessica is letting us know about.
I thought his name was pronounced
Thicker. Is he okay that we call him the thicker kicker?
Yes. So I asked this question. He was on Branded last week. Last week? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago when I was on Branded. He was on before me, and I asked in the comments section, I said, there's a guy on some podcast, because I didn't know if he would say it was okay. So I made sure I could say it was Leo. If he I said, that's been calling you the thicker kicker, is that okay? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I'm perfectly fine with that. So yeah, he likes thicker kicker. We're good. We're in. Which is good because that's what I was going to call him anyway. I was just
sort of like the thick group here, right?
I was just going to blame Leo or Ralph if he ever came and was like, who called me thicker kicker on the broadcast? That was Ralph. Are you mad about it? If you're mad about it, that's Ralph. So, RC, would you tend to agree that it is a must-win situation for the Gunslingers on Saturday?
A must-win. I said that last week. I think it's very important for the fans. We need to get some positive momentum. I think someone even mentioned it like, hey, let's say something positive. We need the W. We need that positivity. We need the fans to come out and cheer like you have not cheered before. Get into the fiesta feel, and we got to bring it. We have to bring it. This is the game to bring it.
I will go a step further. I realize it's not the question I asked you, so it's kind of unfair. I will not only say that I believe that this is a must-win game, but I believe that the season, the part of the schedule they are going into, the segment of the schedule they are going into over the next 5 games is the most important 5 games of the season.
I would agree with you.
3 of those 5 games are at home.
That's what I want to hear.
And all 5 of those games are against Western Conference opponents.
That's huge.
I think the best case scenario for the best case scenario is win all 5.
Yeah, just win them all.
But maybe that's not realistic. I think the best case scenario that I am hoping for is that we come out of this next 5-game portion of the schedule above 500, which if you do some math, I think means they have to go 4-1 or 3-2. If they went 3-2 added to the 1-3 record, no, they would still be below 500. So they need to go 4-1. I think the best case scenario carries them. That's Vegas here at home, and then we go to Vegas 2 weeks later. There's a bye week between them.
Mm-hmm.
Then San Diego here, followed immediately by Bay Area here, and Tucson in Tucson.
Well, that's what I was just about to say, Philip. The 5 teams they're playing on that schedule, they play Vegas twice, San Diego and Tucson. All 3 of those teams are struggling right now. They're all behind San Antonio in the standings. The only team they play in that 5-game stretch that is doing better is Bay Area, who have only 1 loss. And guess who they have that loss to?
Hey, I think we beat them.
Yeah. So
now let's be fair. That was a different team that beat them. Like things have changed a lot for that team in the few weeks since we beat them, right?
Sure. Yep.
We look like a very different team, but you're right. Tucson at 1-2, Vegas at 1-2, San Diego at 1-2. And by the way, Northern Arizona, which was kind of a bane in our existence, a thorn in our side all year last year, they are bad. They are like 2024 Jacksonville Shark bad. They're bad. They're 0-3, and they do not look good in those 0-3. Like they are not doing well. I think this is the most important portion of the schedule for the Gunslingers. And I think if they can come out of that above 500, which would be like 5-4, I think they've got a real good shot at holding playoff position and moving into the playoffs. If they can right the ship and finish out that 5-game portion of the schedule, and on June 7th, when we go to Quad City, which is so funny. Have you ever looked up Quad City and like what that is?
No.
I looked this up the other day because my kids asked. I was watching a Quad City game on the IFL Network. Go get your IFL Network subscription if you haven't done so already.
That in the like Chicago area?
No. Well, it's along the, I got to get this right now, the Indiana-Iowa border. It is along the Mississippi River. It is a number of cities all in one basic geographical area that make one kind of metro area. And you would say, obviously. You're right. Chase Risman says we're hosting Quad City. You're correct.
Yes.
So obviously, if it's called Quad City and it's a group of cities, how many cities would it be?
4.
It's 5.
That would be
Cinco
City.
See, here's what you don't know, Leo. It was named the Quad City area, or generally kind of referred to as the Quad City area, before there were 5. It was referred to as the Quad City area when there were 3.
That's Tri-City. So they built the city to make it match the name, and then someone didn't understand someone didn't understand the what do they call it, the assignment, and went and built another city there. And they're like, hey, no, wait, stop. Oh, too late. They built it.
Right. I guess. I don't know. This is what I found when I looked it up because my kids asked the question that I had never even considered. Why is it called Quad City? Where is it? And I had to look it up and I was like, oh, it's called Quad City, but there are 5 of them. And my daughter goes, that doesn't make sense. And I go, oh, well, I'm reading down a little further. They started calling it Quad City before there were 5, back when there were 3. Wait, that still doesn't make sense.
I love Mission's highlighter comment. Someone was like, hold my
beer. Hold my beer. I got to fix this. We got to be Quad City again. Mind blown. Government agencies not knowing math or doing something properly. Right? Who would have thought? Yeah, so I think you're right. Back on June 7th, when Quad City comes to San Antonio, we need to be looking at, I would love to be looking at a 5-4 record, which means there's work to do. There's a lot of work to do.
I would love to be 6-3. But
I'll take that too.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give them this, this one game sort of buffer that if you have to drop one, I guess, sure. But there's no reason other than Bay Area. You're right. We should be able to beat all 4 or all 3 of those other opponents. All 4 of those games we should win.
If the Gunslingers play what we've known to be, what we become to know Gunslingers football, and they're physical and they play with intensity, they're fast and they're sure tackling. They got a great shot in all of those games, I think. Obviously, there's a quarterback question now. I don't know what's going to happen there. We'll find out soon enough.
It could actually be nothing. Like we could take the field on Saturday night with Malik Henry at quarterback. Yeah. I just if I were making the decisions, that would not be the decision I would make. I would start Guy Myers, probably. I mean, that's the one that makes the most sense. He's been here since camp. He has a relationship with everybody. He knows the receivers. He knows the offense. If you could go out there and get another quarterback, can you get them in line with your offense fast enough to be ready to take the field Saturday night? That seems like a big ask.
That's a huge ask.
So I mean, I think my decision would be let's see what Guy Myers can do. Let's give him the opportunity to see. We're hearing it.
Yeah, we're hearing that from the fans. We're hearing that from insiders of the Weston about the passion. It's like, let's see it. I'm dying to see that on the field, but we just not a lot of opportunity to see it out there. I'm dying to see that passion that these people are talking about. Not that I haven't seen it. I've just seen glimpses. It's not enough to formulate an opinion.
Right.
That's for speaking for myself.
Absolutely. Jordan Stubing says, what do you think of that Fiesta jersey, RC?
I love it.
There
I'm
you go.
sporting it today, and I'm going to bring it on Saturday. It's beautiful. I love the rose. I wore last year's to the watch party on this weekend, and it was great.
Yeah, that's the one you're wearing there, Leo. Right? That's that's last year's Fiesta.
This is last year's Fiesta jersey. Yes.
Yeah, I have the previous year's Fiesta jersey. I should have wore it if I'd have known we could have had all.
Why didn't you wear it? Nah, you're slacking.
Just like last week, you guys were both wearing the podcast jersey, and I was the oddball. So
we need to coordinate our outfits better. We're not doing a very good job.
Idea.
What shoes are you going to wear?
Jessica Palmer, we most definitely want more game time for Guy. So if coaches and front office are listening, it sounds like the fans have an idea. Coach Bain, if you're listening, Coach Fuller, if you're listening, James Stubing I've been told he's always listening. One way or the other, he always checks in and sees what we're talking about. If that's the case, maybe listen to the fans. Although there's an old adage in coaching. Leo, have you ever heard this? If you follow what the fans want you to do, you'll be sitting with them after a while. There's the old adage about coaches don't really listen to the fans or the talk because that's not their job. Their job is to win games, but I really think it's worth a try because I think we've seen what we've got with Malik, and I don't think it's working. And so we need to do something different.
True, but there's a reason why the professionals coach and the fans watch, and cheer and yell and scream and cry.
I love that both you and I said the fans fan. We fan. That's what we do. We fan. James saying you all got gunslinger gear on. You're good. Yeah, we don't come to the show without gunslinger gear. I don't think we've all got plenty of it.
Background.
So. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got my flag and I've got my pennant and I'm good to go, and all my cowboy stuff over here. So good to go.
We need to work on that cowboy stuff.
It's there. It's there, man. It's just part of me. It's part of who I am. You just have to get used to it. I have to get used to it. It's just part of who I am. So we go into this week with more questions. And I had really hoped that we would answer some questions in Tulsa and we would come in with some answers and we would be moving forward. Just doesn't look like that's the case. Hey, speaking of people that are answering questions, maybe finally, I know that we don't spend a lot of time talking about them, but we all still watch and pay attention. Brahma's got a win over an undefeated team. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Peyton Party is the interim head coach out there after what we said last week ended up becoming the reality. Wade Phillips is taking a leave of absence due to health issues, and that hurts us. Yeah. We want you to get better, and we want you to be around for a long time because we like Wade Phillips. Even if we don't always agree with him as a head coach, we like Wade Phillips. And the world needs more Wade Phillips people in it. So,
and he has his own medal, Fiesta medal.
He does.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad for the Brahmas because they announced his Fiesta medal and then the next day announced that he wasn't going to be coaching anymore. Peyton Party has stepped in and the team has looked different.
Yeah.
Under Peyton Party.
I like what I've seen for Party. 28 years old, youngest coach in NFL professional football history. I said NFL, but not NFL.
Not NFL, but yeah.
History.
Yeah. Yep. And he's doing a great job.
Impressive.
They looked better in the game where he was just the acting head coach 2 weeks ago. And then they were able to go out and get a win over an undefeated team, over Jordan Teamu. The Brahmas looked like a good football team all the way around in the parts of that game I was able to watch. And that is not something we had seen previously in the year. Congratulations to Peyton Party. And we are still paying attention. Even if we're not covering them, we are still paying attention.
I'm going to the game.
Which one?
This weekend. But I'm going to the Brahmas too.
Yeah. Good. Hey, this weekend's going to be a busy football weekend for San Antonio football fans. We got the Gunslingers on Saturday. Yep. We got the Brahmas on Sunday, finally coming to San Antonio, finally. And then we got the NFL draft for those of us that,
starting on Thursday.
Have some interest in those things.
Hey, you Gunslingers fans that are just all in on the Gunslingers, which is so many of you, if you're going to the Brahmas game, wear your Gunslinger gear. Start some conversations with folks around you, folks in line at the concessions. Let them know that there's another expression of football. We can't officially do anything and work with the Brahmas. Apparently, they're not going to do that because we tried and we couldn't put that together. But if you're going to both, take an opportunity to let people know, because there are so many people that will go to a Brahmas game that just don't even know the Gunslingers are there.
Yeah.
So take this opportunity to be a walking billboard for your San Antonio Gunslingers and wear the jersey. And when somebody goes, what is the Gunslingers? What is that? I get to tell them now. I get to tell them all about the fact that there are other versions of football.
I think that's an excellent idea.
James Palmer says Friday he's going to the Tritons in Corpus. Saturday Gunslingers. He's going to have a busy weekend. Mrs. Highlighter, a challenge. Yeah, I'm challenging you. I won't be able to do it. I'm driving up for the Gunslinger game. I have to drive home for, work on Sunday morning. I am not turning around and driving back to San Antonio for the Brahmas game. It's just not going to happen. So
You'll be with us in spirit.
I will. I'll be watching the game. Like I will be tuned in, but I will not be at the game. Finally, a home game for the Brahmas. It feels like it's been forever because
Forever.
it has. What does this mean? What does this mean?
Explain. I can explain. And this is one of the reasons why I love this idea is because
for those that might be listening and not reading with us, Dolores popped in and said, I will gladly do that. Just be ready to defend me, Philip, because there may be some altercations. What does this mean?
I have in the past worn a San Antonio Gunslingers or San Antonio Gunslingers jersey merch, to a Brahmas game and was heavily criticized for it by some individuals as not being a good Brahmas fan because I chose to wear my Gunslingers jersey at the game. So the fact if there's more people doing that, then they can't single anybody out as being biased or trying to take attention away from the beloved Brahmas, which was never my intention. I'm a fan of both teams.
Right.
There are individuals who I'll just leave it at that. Who just have very strange opinions. At least to me, they're strange.
Man, ain't nobody got any right to tell anybody what they should be wearing at a football game, period.
Exactly.
That's true.
Nobody.
I'm going to wear our Smoking Guns that has both teams represented.
There you go. You and Mo and Iris, I think, are going to be doing that as well because she's already mentioned she's going to sport her split jersey that really, for a really kick-ass podcast that they got to the Patriots. Yeah, look.
Nice.
Look, if I spend my money and bought my ticket and am supporting them with my dollars and I'm wearing a Gunslinger jersey and you come at me, you're going to get a very disrespectful plea from me to pound sand. You have no right to tell me what I can wear. I do not have to follow your dress code. I do not have to do what you want me to do, fellow fan. If the Alamo Dome has no problem with me wearing a Gunslinger jersey inside for it, your opinion means less than almost anything to me. You can pound sand. You can move on. I made the choice to wear what I wanted to wear. It does not make me more or less of a fan of anything because I'm wearing a Gunslinger jersey to a Brahma game or a Brahma jersey to a Gunslinger game, which I've seen and get excited about when I see it at Gunslingers games. Like, yes, representation. If you are one of those folks, and I realize those folks don't listen to our show because we're persona non grata in their idea of what the Brahmas should be. Anyway, fine. I don't care. But you approach me with that kind of attitude and you're going to get a very disrespectful response because you have no right to tell me what I'm allowed to wear to a Brahma game. You are not anybody I'm worried about your opinion of. Any case, whatever. Missions Highlighter says, I got criticized by one of the Horns Forward podcast members for wishing they had Brahmas fan parties, for wishing they had the Brahmas fan party in the beginning of the season on a different time or date when the Gunslingers had their first game of the season. Yep. He says, I just wish that they would have picked a different time so that I could support both of them.
Yeah.
And he was criticized. And he was criticized. So we know the folks over at Horns Forward. We like the folks over at Horns Forward.
Yeah, great people.
Jason, Jackie, Jorge, all of those folks, great people. And we love what they do for the Brahmas and their passion for the Brahmas. I love the way they're going. and supporting the Brahmas, even on the road. I wish I had the ability to do something
Die
like
hard.
Really cool.
Yeah.
That is not
Brahma
something
Bay.
that seems beyond the pale to me. All you're saying is I want to be able to support both. You're not saying I want to support one over the other. If you had said that, that would be different. But you're just saying, I wish there was a way I could have done both of these things. And, hey, whatever.
Are we going to do the bullseye?
Yeah. Bullspit Bullseye for the weekend in San Antonio Gunslingers football. What is your Bullspit and Bullseye, RC, since you brought it up?
Well, I'm going to say that my bullseye was the watch party. Even though we were small, we were loud and proud.
Nice.
For my Bullspit, we got another loss in the column, but I think from here we can only go up.
For sure. Leo, Bullspit, Bullseye.
Bullseye first. Bullseye was the fan representation in Tulsa. Yeah. We had the Palmers up there, the Woods, Jamar Washington. Now we know the Huddles were there. But I saw on the broadcast Jay Washington out there with his giant cowbell along the wall. And then, multiple times you could see the Woods and the Palmers seated just up and above the Gunslingers bench. So it was great to see some of our Smoking Guns and Gunslingers posse up there representing in Tulsa. Ended up being a rough night, but it was nice to see that we had those diehard fans there, being loud and proud of this San Antonio Gunslingers team. Bullspit was just the lack of intensity, not matching the intensity of the Tulsa Oilers, was a bit of a letdown for us fans by this team. But we know and we're confident that they're going to bounce back this week.
Absolutely. If you have a Bullseye, Bullspit, get them in and we'll get them read out as we close down another show, another week as we head toward Vegas coming into town here in just a few days. My Bullspit, Bullseye, my Bullseye I'll start with is a home game. Man, I'm so excited to get back to the Freeman. And all that entails being back in the Freeman and watching Gunslinger football. It's been too long. I think my Bullspit last week was that we're still waiting for a home game. So my Bullseye is that we get to finally come home and be home. And then my Bullspit, I think I've made it pretty clear, is our current quarterback play. It is the thing that has demoralized me a little bit as I've watched it through the season, and I'm ready to move on and try something new. And if that's Guy Myers, great. And if that's somebody else, then okay, I'll trust the coaching staff to make the best decision they can. The only thing I don't want to see is us continue to do something that's not working. And to me, this is not working. And so we will have to we will need to move on. And so, whatever that looks like, as long as it's a change, I think we need to make a change. And I had hoped for better, but it is where we are. And I think if we catch fire at the quarterback position, if we get the right person in there that can connect with the other players we have on offense, I think we are a dang good team. We have regressed a little bit on defense just because of some of the guys we've lost. Look, we've lost 3 top flight defenders this season already. We lost Riverius, and all 3 in different ways. We lost Riverius Rivers to the UFL. He moved on to bigger and better things. Good for him. We lost Ellison Jordan to an injury. Bad for him. We don't ever want to see that happen. And then we lost Jordan Jones because he did not fit with the team. He was no longer a representation that the team wanted, or whatever. It was in the best interest of the team to release him, not trade him. By the way, you will notice that they did not hold him on the roster and try to get something for him. They just released him Again, I don't have any inside information as to the decision making, but that tells me something as a fan.
That's crazy when you think about that. As good a player as he is and the numbers that he's had, and just release and not try and get something in return. Yeah, good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, that option is out there, and they did not take that option. They did not sit him on the bench for a week and try to trade him and get something out of him. They said, our best bet for our team, the best thing for our organization, which is the words that I got, the best thing for our organization was to immediately release Jordan Jones.
Yep. I love Tina Meyer-Haddad's comment. Watch and see.
I would love to see it. I am ready to see it.
I'm ready, and I hope that she could come back and say to everyone, remembering this episode and be like, "I told you so." That would be amazing.
Oh, James Palmer says, can Sam play Friday for the Albany Firebirds in Corpus and then just drive up the road and play for us on Saturday? No, I don't think that's the way that works. By the way, Corpus Christi's still moving, still there and still operating. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was hearing rumors of that being close to folding. That did not happen, and I could not be happier. For those guys, that we have a relationship with that ownership over there, and we want the best for them. And I am glad that those rumors appear to be unfounded and that they are still moving forward. I'm glad. I'm very glad for them. And they will be hosting Albany, I believe, this Friday, and so Sam will be in Texas. For those of you that want to go see Sam, go see Sam. He's playing. Tickets are cheap in Corpus. You can get a ticket on the wall for $40. Tickets are cheap, so
not bad.
It's a good deal.
I wouldn't mind it. See if maybe I can work that out.
Myers to Myers chance coming in a few weeks. Boy, I would love the story of brothers playing quarterback and wide receiver. Like that is a fun, from a media guy, a broadcast analyst guy sort of area. That is a fun story to tell. Is brothers playing on the team together and hooking up for touchdowns. That's cool.
That's awesome. Hey, not to deflect or distract, or go ahead with this comment and then make sure you bring up Jordan Stubings from earlier.
Jessica Palmer, we miss our DJ. I'm really excited. I'm really enjoying watching Guys Wings Expand. You did a wonderful job with those young men talking to Tina. There you go. And then I'm looking for Jordan. This one right here?
Yes. How about
Talk about it.
I'm working on a Mad Max themed Road Warrior jersey available only to fans who travel to an away game. That is awesome. But I want to know the qualifier. So, we have to make an away game this season, or could it have been from a prior season? Or what am I going to have to do
stretching it.
to get my hands on this jersey? Oh, but that is an amazing idea, though, Jordan.
There's still one game in Tulsa. You can still make the trip up there in June. I think it's in June for the Tulsa game, June 14th. There's still a game up in Tulsa, but Jordan says he's got you. Priors count.
Nice.
I might go to that game.
James Palmer says, sorry, Leo, this season only.
Oh, come on, James. It's tough right now, man. We got a wedding coming up. We got expenses.
We have a grandbaby, right? You have a grandbaby?
Grandbaby. Lots of stuff going on right now.
A lot of stuff going on. Hey, we are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We are brought to you by a great group of patrons that we absolutely love and we are very thankful for. They make the show go and help us pay the bills. Those folks are Alfred Rodriguez, who you've seen all night long as the missions highlighter, James Palmer, who you've seen all night long, Jay Washington, who you've seen all night long, Jordan and James Stubing, those guys, Kim and Greg Nelson, Mo and Iris Ferrante also have been checking in with us all night long. Dolores saying, do you have layaway? And then James Palmer saying they need to schedule that wedding around your football schedule. He's got a point. We are very thankful for the folks that have signed on to be patrons of the show. If you are interested in helping us make the show go and use whatever we have left over to help our community connect better with the Gunslingers, whether that is football camps for kids or cheer camps for ladies. We have used that money in a variety of different ways. When we have a little bit left over, we have less and less left over now because the price on everything, believe it or not, has gone up. And all of our hosting stuff and all of the stuff that we pay has also gone up. So we are able to bank less of that money to make those things happen. But if you're interested in being a part of that, go to patreon.com/smokinggunspod. That's Smoking No G, Guns with a Z, P-O-D, and sign up at the $5, $10, or $20 a month level and be part of the team. We really appreciate them. We could not do, I am not saying this to be glib. We could not do the show without them. I cannot afford, Leo cannot afford, RC cannot afford to pay the bills that this show has out of our pocket. We just couldn't do it. We wouldn't be able to do the show anymore. And so we're thankful for them. And if you want to be a part of that, please jump onto patreon.com and connect with us. If you're interested in connecting with us on social media, we are on almost every social media platform at Smoking Guns Pod. Smoking No G, Guns with the Z, P-O-D. If you don't find us there, we're not there because that's the only handle we have. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We have an Instagram account we don't ever use, and we're on X, and I use that less and less every day. But we're there. So if you want to reach out to the show, you can direct message us at Smoking Guns Pod anytime on those social media platforms. Anything I'm missing?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I think we've just about covered it. We need to get a win this week. I'm looking forward to it.
My last question of the night for everybody. What the heck is a Nighthawk? What is that? It's not Nighthawk like nighttime hawk. It's a Nighthawk like it flies around with armor on. I don't understand what a Nighthawk. What is a Nighthawk? Come on.
It's a cool 80s superhero name or something like that.
Yeah, I think
it's something that in the 80s you would be like, if I'm a superhero, my name's gonna be Nighthawk.
Mo says Nighthawk like a router. I think like the I know where you're getting that from. 80s superhero. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Is Nighthawk the company that used to make the radar detectors that every dad had in the car back when they were illegal and you weren't supposed to have radar detectors? Was that Nighthawk that made those? Maybe.
I don't know.
Leo, it's Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, yeah.
That is what is making that connection for you is Knight Rider, Nighthawk. What is a Nighthawk? What a dumb name. I had never thought about it until the other day when I was watching something or look at something and I saw the K at the beginning and I was like, what is a Nighthawk? I just got this picture of a hawk in, armor. And I'm like, that's foolish. That's foolishness right there. What is a Nighthawk?
Well, it's like, what is it? The Battlehawks.
Right. Well,
maybe they're related to the Battlehawks. Battlehawks, Nighthawks. They're chickens, whatever they are. They're yummy.
Mrs. Highlighter, it might be a bull spit, but I wish we had physical tickets because sometimes since last season, I've had trouble scanning my tickets by phone. Maybe have like a season ticket card to be scanned, wear it on a lanyard, just like scanning a work badge. Just wishing. I get it, but it's not like the Gunslingers are the only ones that have gone to scan on your phone. Everything I've done in the past 5 years has wanted me to scan it on my phone. And I appreciate it because I don't want to think about driving all the way up to San Antonio for a Brahmas game and then realizing that I left tickets on, the bar, 3 hours away. So James Palmer, Nighthawk can refer to a nocturnal bird, a person who is active at night, or most famously, a painting by Edward Hopper. The bird Nighthawk is a type of nightjar, and the term Nighthawk. Yes, you have cut and pasted the dictionary definition of Nighthawk for me, but I would like to point out that what you gave me is one word, Nighthawk. And it is spelled with an N at the beginning and not a K at the beginning.
like a medieval knight. This is Night Space Hawks.
So
Okay,
not
this
the
is
same
the
thing.
the
It's a
irony of
superhero.
bringing all of this up. I want to do a background change just real quick because you will never guess the painting that is in my office.
And she's gone, folks. While we wait for her to come back, Jordan Stubing says you can always pick up physical tickets from Gunslinger Nation. Just DM me and I'll make sure it happens for you. What is that we're
Everyone
looking
see
at?
that painting?
Yeah.
That painting is the Nighthawk.
Is it really?
Oh,
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Okay. So now we know.
Well,
Now we know that RC is a closet Nighthawk fan.
Nighthawks fan.
No.
Boo.
That's not.
Oh,
And she's gone.
We lost her.
We
Oh, what
exposed her and she left. We'll never see her again. No, I'm just kidding.
She ran
James
off.
says, okay, Nighthawk is a helicopter. Again, that's one word. There she is. She's back. She's back.
That painting is in the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I grew up
she's
with
from
art.
Chicago. That
It's
makes sense.
a very famous painting. It has been parodied many times, I believe, with celebrities in it.
Yes.
Yeah, very famous painting, Nighthawk by Edward Hopper. With all that being said, if you want the best indoor football experience, it is not up in Tulsa.
No.
It's not over in Vegas or San Diego or up in San Jose. It's not down in Jacksonville or over up in Green Bay. If you want the best indoor football experience, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
All right, folks, thanks so much for hanging out. We ran a little long tonight, but when do we not?
Yeah, we
please
always
make
do.
sure you like, rate, review, all of the ways that you can get out. Share the show. Share the podcast episode when it comes out in the morning or later tonight. Because I might do that tonight. I'm not in the office the same way I usually am this week, so I may just do it tonight. But please like, share, rate, review, do all of the things so that we can make sure as many people as possible can see the show and can connect with Gunslingers fans. Also, make sure you check out Brandon on Wednesday night with Ralph. Hopefully he has his voice back by then. And Mo says, don't forget to download. Don't forget to download the episode, even if you watched us all the way through. Download it. You don't have to listen to me anymore.
Well,
But
listen to me.
you do need to download it just to help us get the numbers so that algorithms find us even better.
Love y'all.
Thank y'all so much,
Thanks,
folks.
guys.
Thanks for hanging out with
See
you.
you on
Can't wait to
Saturday.
see everybody on Saturday. It's going to be great.
Airwolf. Love it, Mo.
Airwolf. I remember Airwolf.
Yeah.
See y'all.